the beginning of this week's portion where we find Isaac and Rebekah, one would think is often translated praying, but when you read the words in this week's portion, it does not say once that they prayed. It says vayetar, which is a very strange word. As the Kabbalists eventually teach us, it's actually an Arabic word, one of the few times that we find an Arabic, at least an ancient Arabic word in the Torah. The word that is used on this Shabbat for the prayers, what is often translated as prayers of Rebekah and Isaac, is the word vayetar. And when the Creator, it seems, to answer their prayer, gives them the blessing of the children, Jacob and Esau, Yaakov and Esav, also the word vayetar, which again is translated as prayer, but does not really mean prayer. There are other words in the Torah that are used for prayer. The process that they were going through, the Kabbalists give a parable to explain it. They say it can be compared to a king and his son, the prince. The father, the king, wants to give a gift. In this case, the Kabbalists use the gift of gold, and the son wants to receive it or needs to receive it. So the son starts digging underneath the king's palace, underneath the king's treasury, and the king himself also digs underneath the treasury from the inside. The prince, the son, is digging from the outside, the king is digging from the inside, and obviously eventually they meet, and the son, the prince, receives that which he is after. So that's the example, that's the parable. Many questions can be asked about that story. If the king wants to give his son a gift and the son wants to receive the gift, why doesn't he come to the front door and get the gift? What's the whole process that the parable tells us of a king digging from the inside and the prince digging from the outside? If both the giver and the receiver of the gift, in this case, the king and the son, one wants to give and one wants to receive, why create this whole process of digging? Just have him come to the front door, give him whatever you want to give him, and let him go. And of course, more importantly, the question is, what is it about that parable that gives us the secret of how Isaac and Rebekah were able to awaken this great light, this great gift of children, and how, of course, we can awaken these great gifts? So to understand all of this, we begin with a section, with a teaching from the Zohar that is mentioned also very many times in the Talmud. It says that there are three gifts, Banei, Chaye, Umezone, meaning children, life, and sustenance. Those three gifts, Lav Bizchuta Talia, they do not depend on merit, meaning you do not earn them through action. Lav Bizchuta Talia Milta, you do not earn them. These three gifts, right, which are the most important gifts in life. Children, family, life, and sustenance, Parnasa. These three gifts, it says, Lav Bizchuta Talia Milta, you cannot earn them through your spiritual work, through your connections. El Mazala Talia Milta. How do you connect to them? How do you draw these three great gifts? The word is often wrongly translated as luck. Mazala is a word in Hebrew used and translated as luck. What is the secret of this term, Mazala? Because again, as if you read the Zohar, it makes it very clear that if you're after these three of the most important gifts in life, Banei, Chaye, Umezone, children, life, and sustenance, you cannot draw them in their complete form through merit. Lav Bizchuta Talia, El B'Mazala Talia. It is somehow a connection to something called Mazala. What is Mazala? Because if we are able to connect to this level, to this place, to the spiritual realm called Mazala, then we can draw for ourselves the complete blessings of children, life, and sustenance. So the Ari, Rav Isaac Luria, the great Kabbalist, explains that really what Isaac and Rebekah were doing, and therefore what we need to start doing on a daily basis, the Ari says, he gives us a very powerful meditation. A very powerful meditation, a tool. And the reason why, again, there are certain times that you can connect through actions. There are certain times you can draw light and blessings through actions, but there are certain times that the realm that you are trying to access is so beyond where you can get through your work and through your actions. You have to be given a gift, a tool. In this case, this meditation from the Ari, which is probably one of the most important and most powerful meditations. And this is what Isaac did. This is the secret of the Shabbat. Isaac was not simply praying. Isaac was not simply pleading, but rather he was making a connection to this realm, this higher spiritual state called Mazala, which is referred to in the Zohar as Mazala and referred to in the Talmud as Mazala. Because in order to draw the complete blessings of children, life, and sustenance, you have to be able to connect to that realm. And that realm cannot be attained, cannot be drawn by you simply by action. It has to be through a connection, a consciousness, a meditation. And that's what Isaac did. So much so, again, it says in the Midrash, a very interesting thing, just the physicality of what is going on. Isaac is lying completely prostrated on the floor. Not begging or praying, but fighting through this meditation that we are going to speak of to connect to the realm of Mazala. Because, and again, as I mentioned when we were studying with the Chevre, that the Hari, Rabbi Zuchlur, speaks of many different meditations and connections that one can make. But it is not often that he says that every person should meditate about this in every prayer. This is one of them, maybe one of the few. And as I said again, that this is a relatively complicated meditation, and therefore I strongly recommend to watch as we taught it during the week on New Kabbalah, but it is, as the Ari says, the most important meditation to connect to Mazala, meaning any one of us, which I assume is every single one of us, that desires and needs to connect to this realm from which life, children, and sustenance come, you have to learn this meditation and meditate it every day. So the Ari says, and we'll go over it relatively quickly, that the word vayetar, which is the Arabic word, the ancient Arabic word for digging, or creating a connection that is not awakened through action, through spiritual action, is the numerical value of Taf Reish Ayin, which is 670. The realm, what's called Mazala, has to be accessed with a connection to what's called the Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. One of the names of God that, when it's spelled out completely, is also the numerical value of 671. How do you access that? Because that has to be the meditation, and that was the meditation of Isaac as he's connecting to this realm called Mazala. The letter Aleph, which represents in the numerology the number 1, which is all that was missing for Isaac and Rebecca, and really all that is missing for us in order to break through to that realm called Mazala. The 2 letters, Vav and Yud, from the word Vayetar, which again is translated as pleading, but now we understand means that breaking through to this realm called Mazala, known as Mazala. The Vav and Yud represent the letter Aleph cut in half. If you know the way the letter Aleph looks, there's a line in the middle, there's a Yud on the bottom, and there's a Yud on the top. 3 letters make up the word Aleph, the letter Aleph. Vav in the middle, Yud on the bottom, and Yud on the top. The Vayetar, which is where most of us begin, hopefully, our connection, we have 670. We're missing 1, representing what's called the higher Yud, or that realm that finally connects us to the realm of Mazala. And Isaac, all he was doing on this Shabbat is using this meditation again and again and again and again, drawing what's called the upper Yud, drawing that breakthrough into that realm called Mazala. And because he was able through his meditation to break through, he merited the blessing of children. So what we understand, again, as I said, I know we've gone through it quickly. I strongly recommend that we take the time to go over it and understand this meditation, because it is the meditation that gives us access to Banei Chaye Umezone, to children, life, and sustenance. But that's what Isaac did. And that's a secret of this Shabbat. How can any of us break through and have a constant connection to the realm of Mazala? Because you can draw different lights and blessings and lower levels through your spiritual work. But really, at the core of all your spiritual work is how you can have the consciousness, the strength, the ability to connect to the realm of Mazala. Because that's the realm, the higher realm, from which life and children and sustenance come. So one aspect, as we've said, is this meditation, this tool given to us by the Ari. But the second aspect has to do with something we speak about all the time, and as I thought about it, we're going to talk about it again on this Shabbat. I said, what is the purpose of talking about something that people have heard before unless you can awaken something new? And that has to do with certainty, because using the tool, simply doing the meditation with a desire to connect to this realm called Mazala on its own without certainty has a much less likelihood of receiving and awakening that connection, therefore these gifts. Certainty. But what's real certainty? In this week's portion, the Midrash points out something very interesting. Isaac and Rebecca, both of them, are awakening, desiring, trying, doing everything they can to awaken this connection to this realm called Mazala, the realm from which you can draw down life and children and sustenance. But who finally succeeds in awakening this light? It says, Vayetar lo Hashem. The Creator awakened and enabled this gift of children to come down to Isaac and Rebecca, not because of the connection that Rebecca was making, but because of the connection Isaac was making. Vayetar lo Hashem. The Creator opened up a connection to the realm called Mazala for Isaac, not for Rebecca. Why is it that Isaac was able to awaken this connection of the blessing of children, which is the same place from which sustenance and life comes, and Rebecca was not? So to understand this, the Midrash tells us what they were saying, what prayer. It was a very simple prayer that each one of them was saying, but it was different. Isaac's prayer was different from Rebecca's prayer. What was Rebecca's prayer? As she's trying to connect, to break through, she understands, to this realm called Mazala, the realm from which life and children and sustenance comes. She says in her prayer, a very short sentence, if I merit to have children, please make sure that I merit to have them with Isaac. Meaning, I don't want you to say you can have children with another man. I want to have children with this man whom I love, the righteous Isaac. If you give me children, she says, I want them to be from Isaac. That's Rebecca's prayer. Isaac's prayer, when you give me children, they need to be from Rebecca. Very simple difference. Isaac has no doubt that the children are coming. Rebecca is saying, I hope that through my prayer I can awaken children, and if I do, please have them come from Isaac. And because of that doubt that Rebecca had, not only in the words that she said, but clearly it was in her mind, she was never, at least at this point, able to access that realm called Mazala, and therefore she was not able for herself to draw down children. It was only, and it's not about, we speak about, it's not about words or even thoughts, it's about really what is at the core of a person's belief, consciousness. Isaac had no doubt that the Creator is going to allow them to access the realm called Mazala, and therefore he was able to access the realm called Mazala, and therefore he was able to draw down children, the miracle of children, or the miracle of life, or the miracle of sustenance. It says in the Zohar an amazing thing, and again, because these three gifts are interconnected. It says if a person lacks certainty, he will definitely lack sustenance. If a person lacks certainty, he will definitely lack sustenance. Why? Again, because there are many gifts that you can access with limited certainty in life. And even lower realms of even children or sustenance or life. But the ultimate blessing of life and the ultimate blessing of children and the ultimate blessing of sustenance cannot be accessed by an individual who lacks in certainty, who lacks in emunah. And therefore the Zohar says this statement, if a person lacks in certainty, he will definitely also lack in sustenance. So that's one thing we understand, that it's impossible. It's impossible to access that realm called Mazala unless, like Isaac, you have no doubt. That's one aspect Again, impossible, impossible. And how do you, as we've spoken about this, but it's important to reawaken this understanding. Certainty is not something that you awaken when you need it. Certainty has to be something you work on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the month and every day of the year. If and only if we are working on certainty, which means, again, when the small things or the big things or things that should upset, that should anger, that should disappoint, do not. Because the individual says, this small thing or this medium thing or this great challenge is from the light of the Creator, and I have no doubt that this is bringing me towards light, this is bringing me towards blessing. Only if we are constant in our work towards certainty will you have certainty that can access the realm, what's called Mazala. It has to be constant work. I think sometimes people think, we can let it go and then when we need it, we'll have to awaken it, or we try to awaken it. You can't. Only if it's constant, your constant work. And therefore we find, as we said, only Isaac was able to awaken this realm called Mazala. Children. Had it been for Rebekah's prayers, she desired, and she was a tremendously elevated spiritual soul who did endless actions of sharing an entire life. But not yet able to access the realm of Banei Chayei Umazoneh, children, life, and sustenance. The realm called Mazala, because her certainty lacked. Isaac's certainty did not lack. And therefore he and only he was able to awaken a connection to this realm called Mazala, and therefore the blessings of life, children, and sustenance. That's one aspect of reawakening our understanding of the need for the constant work towards a greater and greater certainty, the light of the Creator. The second aspect, which is related to this, we learn from King David. And those of you who know the story of King David, the history of King David, he had a tremendous amount of challenges in his life. He knew that the entire purpose of all his challenges was to be able to awaken for himself higher and higher levels of certainty. Many of us know that there were many people, sometimes from his own family and sometimes people who stood up against him, who wanted King David dead. He would often be surrounded in a cave somewhere or in a forest somewhere by many more soldiers who wanted to kill him. It says in Psalms a very interesting verse. It says, Mehulal ekra Hashem, I call out to the Creator in joy, ume'oivai ivasher. And from my enemies, King David says, from those who are trying to kill me, I know I will be saved. Mehulal ekra Hashem, I call out with joy, ume'oivai ivasher. And from my enemies, from all those who are trying to harm me, whether physical or spiritual, I am saved. The great Kabbalist and commentator Rashi says that the secret of that verse is that no matter what situation King David found himself, no matter how challenging, no matter how many people are surrounding him trying to kill him, his prayer was never I don't know if the word is serious, but as we all at times, either for ourselves or for others, found ourselves in this difficult situation or in a serious situation. And we know that the tool of prayer can awaken assistance. How do you pray in those moments? I think most of us pray seriously. This is a serious time. We feel worried, and therefore we pray or we ask from that state, because that's where we are. It's serious, it's worrying, and we hope that through our connection, through our prayer, we'll be able to awaken light to come down and change the situation or assist the situation. King David never prayed like that, which is an amazing thing if you think about it. Mehula leka Hashem, Rashi says, every single time that I prayed, no matter what the situation was, and we know, if you know the story of King David, there were many, many times where he was running away with hundreds of people, with thousands of people surrounding him to kill him. How would we be praying, even if we had any conscience to even pray or try to make a connection? Just imagine you're sitting there in a cave and there's hundreds of people surrounding it, ready to kill you, desiring to kill you. Chas v'shalom. If you have any sense left to be able to make a connection. It's a serious one. Maybe you cry a little bit, you have some tears. It's a serious situation. You're trying to awaken some miracle assistance. Not King David. King David would pray with joy all the time. Why? Because King David knew he never ever had doubt. And only if you have no doubt ever can you find yourself in the worst situation praying with joy. Bihiluli mekra Hashem, meaning my prayers even in those times are completely full with joy, and therefore I know with certainty that nothing, no negativity, no harm, neither spiritual nor physical can befall me, King David says. Now think about that for a moment. Think about how far we are from that. Because this is the secret. That verse, Mehula lekra Hashem, if all your prayers, even in those most challenging and difficult times, can be said with this level of joy, which means certainty, can you have the complete protection of Me'ovai Ivasheh, the complete certainty that nothing negative can ever befall. To be able to access the realm of Mazala, which we're talking about, the realm where Bane Chaye Umezone, children and life and sustenance come from, you have to be able at least to be working towards that level. And think about it, because sometimes, the way to begin to awaken our next level of certainty is by realizing how far we are. And think about a time, either in the recent past or before that, when you found yourself in a difficult situation, and you had some desire, some knowledge that you need to call out to the Creator to draw some light for a miracle or for assistance. What were you feeling at the time? And I can almost guarantee that none of us, even once, felt like King David felt. Felt the reality of Mehula lekra Hashem. I can call out with joy because I have no doubt at all, even in the darkest moment, I call out with joy. But realize, and it's okay that we're not there yet, but realize that you have to get there. Certainty isn't, again, something that you can even work on slowly if you realize how far you are from real certainty. Can you even imagine yourself in a place, again, as King David was, with people surrounding him trying to kill him, and being able to sing and pray and ask with joy because you have no doubt that, even though it doesn't make any sense at all, that the Creator is going to come and assist you. But that's what you have to get to. Impossible to connect to the realm of Mazala, impossible to connect completely to the realm from which life and children and sustenance is drawn from, unless you're at least endeavoring, pushing yourself to change and grow into that realm, to the certainty, as King David called it, Mehulal ekra Hashem. Always, 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 no matter what, calling with joy. Why? Because he had complete certainty that the light of the Creator will assist him, even in the darkest moment. This gift is awakened on this Shabbat. To connect to that realm of Mazala, to connect to the realm where Bane Chaye Umezone, children, life and sustenance, the only place where those complete blessings come from, is awakened for the first time by Isaac on this Shabbat, and therefore we can connect to it. But the other side, which is also there, is the awakening of new levels of certainty, real certainty. Mehulal ekra Hashem, to be able to call out with joy even in the darkness. There's a verse from Micha, the prophet Micha. It says, Ki yeshev b'choshech, as I sit in the darkness, Hashem Oli, the Creator becomes my light. And that's really the gift that is, by the way, not only available to us on the Shabbat, it's also the gift that is available the entire month of Kislev. Because we have to know that unless we are at least fighting and desiring and asking to come to that level of certainty, the darkest moment the worst time to be able to have complete certainty that brings a request, a prayer, a connection of joy, unless we are at least pushing ourselves and asking to receive this gift. And again, it's not something that we can earn simply by our spiritual work, but it is something that with our work and our understanding that we have to get there and pushing ourselves in every way that we can, that we merit on this Shabbat and we merit in this month to taste of, to come to a little bit of where King David was. And that's, I know what I'm asking for on the Shabbat, and I hope it's what we're all asking for on the Shabbat. Give me, first of all, the understanding why I have to get there. Because we all want the ultimate blessing of Banei Chaye Umazoni, of children, life, and sustenance. But the only way to access it, yes, we'll use the tool that we learned from the Ari, Rav Isaac Luria, but the only way to access and use that tool to connect to that level called Mazala is with certainty, but not certainty as we know it. The certainty of King David. Mehulal ekra Hashem. Every single time, no matter what, no matter how dark it is, no matter how difficult it is, my request, my connection is filled with joy because I have complete certainty the light of the Creator will come and assist. And only because King David had that. Therefore always, me'oivai yivasher. And we can receive through Isaac, through Rebecca, through King David on this Shabbat, an awakening of certainty far beyond anything that we have even thought we can achieve. And through that, and the use of the tools that we've spoken of, to connect more consistently to the realm called Mazala, the realm from which Banei Chaye Umazoni, children, life and sustenance, those ultimate blessings come from. Shabbat Shalom.